Hello and welcome to the Mikestand. Hey, there's Woody. All right. I'm like, hey, Woody. So I guess thus far it's just you and me. Thus far, thus far it looks like. Well, yeah, I think it's just you and me at the moment, but hopefully more people will show up soon. So how'd your day go today? Did um do anything exciting with your Wednesday? You do anything exciting today, Woody? Was it another day of lawn care? Oh, now we got three people in here now. It looks like you're watching. Hello, third person. And as always, guys, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. It helps get the algorithm up and helps get more people in here. So how do y'all do today? Let's see. Oh, what you finally responded? Okay, so let's see what we got here. Nothing too exciting. The cotton from the Q-tip broke off into my ear. So I went to the store to get tweezers to pull it out. Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, sometimes you got to be careful when you're sticking a Q-tip in there to make sure you don't jam it in too tightly there, because it can be a problem. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, we're just again waiting for some more people. Looks like we have a lurker in here, which is okay. Do appreciate any and all likes, guys. So helps get the algorithm up. Let's see now. Yeah. So let's see now. So yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Prior to I didn't want to. I didn't want to mention this too much until after I made my announcements. In fact, I'll wait on that. I'll wait to have a few people get in here. See, for me today was just a typical day. Got up, watched Tune In with me, and then got in the shower, got myself up and going. Store, grabbed my energy drink, came back home. Actually decided to, well, not modern baseball, but just look back on a particular pitcher on YouTube, and then went and grabbed lunch, watched my Toonami block, my afternoon block, then prepared the stream, which I will probably get to soon enough here. Let's see. See, we're now coming up on 4 minutes. We did have 4 people watching for a quick moment there. I know Leto and Batgoat will probably be in a little later. Yeah, so let's see now. I'm just waiting a little longer to see who else shows up before I start speaking. I'll let you guys know what's on tap for tonight here, and maybe in a few more minutes here. Just waiting for people to come in a little bit. But as I've also said, I'm trying to aim to actually start the actual coverage around the 10-minute mark, even though we still run a little long on this pre-order stuff here. So whoever the third person is, I hope you're having a good day today as well. Hope your day proved to be productive for you. Hmm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever see. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever be. Let's see. Oh, now we're back up to 3 people. Okay, that's cool. So we're just past the 7-minute mark. So probably give it until 8 minutes here. Then I'll kind of talk about what's on tap for tonight. And I do appreciate the likes and the shares. Thank you guys for that. So yeah. So let's see. Now we're coming up on 7.5 minutes. Now we're up to 4 people. Hello, 4th person. Hope you're having a good day today. Now we got some more people coming in. That's cool. All right, so we're at the 8-minute mark here. Okay. So this is what's on tap for tonight. I picked out 4 stories to go through tonight, all from Bounding into Comics. Also, if there's some time after that, I'm going to also talk a little bit about the overall it's going to be about Me Too movement and issues surrounding that. I'm going to talk, kind of give a comparison between how Hollywood reacted to Bill Cosby's, situation as opposed to how they reacted to Allison Mack's situation. Allison Mack, of course, the former Smallville star who got convicted on sex trafficking charges. And, of course, everybody knows about the situation with Bill Cosby. I watched Leto's video on the Allison Mack story earlier. And I just watched Nick's video on, the Cosby situation. So basically, we're gonna go through. I'm gonna actually go through the 4 main stories tonight, and they of course include and one of them is actually got some information about Image Comics denying plans to revive Fell. We had a first look from Boom Studios at Dune: Blood of the Sardaukar. There's a bit of in Japan. There's a bit of a panic because Sailor Moon was wishing good luck to the Olympic athletes, and everybody's afraid that it's going to lead to to it becoming a COVID-19 super spreader. And there's also an announcement in regards to Smallville. kind of ironic with the story of Allison Mack's situation. How now apparently I think it's Tom Welling, who was the star of Smallville, who's heading up efforts to start up an animated series for that. So those are the 4 stories. So let's see. Leto joked that she got off easy. I looked. Yeah. Well, we're gonna kind of talk a little bit about that, Woody. After again, if there's time. That's why I only picked 4 stories for tonight. Laugh out loud. Head damn, I hate spelling corrections. All right. So, anyways, yeah. So now we're just past 11 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully, we'll get more people in here. So, anyways, without any further ado, let me go ahead and get the article shared here, or get the shared, and then we will get started. There we go. Hopefully more people will show up soon. So the first thing we're going to look at here is this one. Article right here. Well, let's see here. And again, it does seem like we do have some Me Too stories tonight, I guess. Image Comics denies plans to revive Fell. Confirms they will not work with Warren Ellis, quote, until he has made amends, unquote, with his sexual misconduct accusers. All right. I don't know a whole lot about this, so I can't really say much until I read the article, obviously. Spencer, let's see, written by Spencer Bakuli, published earlier today, June 30th. So, following the apparent announcement that writer Warren Ellis and artist Ben Templesmith would be returning to Image Comics in order to finish out their popular series Fell, the publisher has clarified that they currently have no plans to work with the veteran comic book writer, quote, until he has made amends, unquote, with those who accused the veteran comic book writer of sexual misconduct last year. So the comic book company is trying to Me Too him, trying to pressure him to, Again, I don't know. I mean, if they made accusations, if all there are accusations, they didn't charge him anything, they didn't take him to court or anything like that, and so Fell Volume 1, Number 1, 2008, Image Comics, cover art by Ben Templesmith. So basically, over accusations, this, of course, these people are, again, have very little brain power. Apparently, this is said to be a very popular series. They're throwing money away over accusations. So, go figure. The event, which prompted Image's first statement on the accusations against Ellis, began on June 21st when Templesmith, taking to his personal Instagram account, shared an image featuring series protagonist, Detective Richard Fell, and announced, yeah, it's finally going to be finished. So, let's see. Still nothing new there so far. Okay. For better or worse, this is unfinished business to me, wrote Templesmith in a subscribers-only post made to his personal Patreon account. We really left it hanging. Obviously, so much has changed since those days. Yes, I know, so much. And I guess here's the artwork from Mr. Templesmith. According to a transcription of his private post provided by Gizmodo, Templesmith continued, not for me to speak for Warren, but I agreed to do the book, and I'm glad he's going to be doing some comics again. I don't think anyone thought he'd bugger off and work in a shoe factory or anything. He is, after all, one of the most important comic writers of the past few decades. The artist added, "It means a lot to me to finish this thing. Finally, so I couldn't say no. I guess we'll let the market speak as to how things go." Yes, that's what Image should do. They should allow them to finish the book and then see what happens. But no, they sounds like they're caving to pressure. Fell, Volume 1, Number 1. Okay, source Fell, Volume 1, Number 1. Image Comics, words by Warren Ellis, art by Ben Templesmith. Given that, at this point, Image has not yet commented on the now year-old accusations against Ellis, pop culture entertainment news outlet IO9 reached out to Image 2 days after Templesmith's announcement and asked the publisher about its previous knowledge about the accusations against Ellis, the decision to return to Fell 13 years later in the wake of them, and a response to industry critics of the publisher's decision to platform the writer. According to IO9, now IO9 we know is a very reputable source, right? Everybody remember the hit piece they did on Vic? Anyways, Image declined to comment on the wider issues surrounding Ellis, instead choosing only to confirm Warren Ellis and Ben Templesmith's Image Comics series Fell will indeed return for its long-awaited final story arc in graphic novel form. We will have more details to share about this very soon. Okay, so initially they did seem like they were going to go ahead and go forward with it. And let's see. Source. So here's some artwork. Source Volume 1, Number 5, 2008, Image Comics. Cover art by Ben Templesmith. As news of Ellis's potential return unsurprisingly began to spark outrage across social media, Templesmith returned to his Patreon account to address the situation, explaining to fans, "I just can't subscribe to a permanent social and economic living death for anyone outside of criminal matters." In other words, I think that's a fancy way of saying he's not for cancel culture. Good for you, man. Interesting way of saying it, but if I'm interpreting that right, of course. What's between you all and him is your personal business, and I wish you all well in those dealings. Everyone will be free to not buy the book, ignore his further works and mine, deride them, and pass judgment economically. I know some people will never be happy or healed, Templesmith told one of his subscribers in a thread discussing the announcement. I've dealt with abuse and manipulation myself, so I empathize with those affected. Okay, so now he's not necessarily... Now, this is kind of a slightly different way of doing it, and it is probably in a more respectful manner than what most comic pros have done. He's acknowledging that, yes, people have a right to basically make their voice heard with their wallets. But but unlike other comic pros, he's not telling his fans to go bleep off. He's just simply acknowledging that they can do it, and that's on them to choose whether or not to do it. So I know some people might chide him here a little bit, saying that, oh, he's like trashing the fans. But this isn't even really over the work. Okay. This is something outside of the work that's contributing to all this. So let's see. Let's see. Woody did say one more thing here. Let's see what he has to say here. I do not like these. I do not like the Dr. Fell. The reason why I cannot tell, but this I know and know full well. I do not like the Dr. Fell. Oh, a little Dr. Seuss thing in there, huh? Huh, Woody? That's cool, Woody. That is very, very cool. Yeah. It's an old nursery rhyme that came to mind. Sorry, I've never heard of this show. Well, okay, Dr. Fell is not a show, Woody. It's a comic. I think it's a comic. Warren Ellis, I think, is a comic book writer, and this Detective Fell guy is a feature or is a book that was published. I think starting according to the source material there, starting in 2008, was a popular series there, ran for a while out of Image Comics. Of course, the same Image Comics that also gave us, that's given us Spawn and Savage Dragon. Okay, so yeah, it's just another comic book title. Anyway, so back to the article here. He concluded, I also believe in redemption and that he's capable of making amends, growing from his actions, and hopefully becoming an example of change in a community that desperately warrants it. Fell, Volume 1, Number 2. Okay, so this artwork right here, this set of panels here, from Fell, Volume 1, Number 2, 2008 Image Comics, words by Warren Ellis, art by Ben Templesmith. Ellis' return to comics also drew the attention of so many of us.com, a collective of over 60 women and non-binary people from across the world. Oh, God. Who claim to have been victims of a quote-unquote pattern of behavior from Ellis that includes, but is not limited to, serial emotional manipulation, grooming, coercion, and calculated gaslighting. They claim that, yet they can't get a conviction on it. In response to the news of Fell's revival, so many of us.com issued a statement on June 23rd expressing their disappointment with how, quote, since his public statement a year ago to the knowledge of these authors, Ellis has still not taken direct responsibility for his destructive behavior, nor attempted to tackle the circumstances that allow such behavior to go on unchecked both on and offline. Unquote. Well, he's not going to, if he's smart, he's not going to apologize. Because it sounds like so many of us, just like me too, are a bunch of SJWs. And you don't apologize to SJWs. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. You give them a mile, they take a football field. You give them a football field, they'll take the Empire State's Building. You don't apologize to these people because they'll just take it. And I know Nick has even said this will take it as an admission of guilt. And we definitely saw that in Nick's situation. George Fell, Volume 1, Number 8, 2008 Image Comics, cover art by Ben Templesmith. Yeah, I mean, this was a big moneymaker for them, they should just go ahead and let him do it. Then, and then if they choose not to do business with him afterwards, I mean, why throw that money away? Why throw that money away? Just because a bunch of like 60 women and non-binary SJWs brigade against you? What are the real chances that those 60 women and non-binary characters are going to buy the book? You know, during the past year, we were comforted by an outpouring of encouragement, while also heartbroken to be contacted by more targets of Ellis and of other men using similar patterns of abuse power. Unquote. Wrote the collective's members. Quote, today, as Ellis returns to comics without making amends to anyone involved in so many of us.com or accepting the ramifications of his actions, the renewal of ardent public support alongside calls for accountability is reassuring. Unquote. So it basically sounds like, and I guess we can't be surprised because with statements like with what Eric Larson did the other day, or a week or so ago, you know, no, but anyways, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Eric Larson thinks that piracy is the problem. No, piracy is not the problem. It's comic pros like yourself, Mr. Larson, giving in to the SJW crowd and in groups like so many of us and me too. Getting down on your hands and knees and acting like female dogs. That's what's killing the industry. Not piracy, but giving in to a bunch of social terrorists. And that's what SJWs are. They are social terrorists. Quote, we affirm our call for Warren Ellis to earn the opportunity to become the man so many people believed him to be. Unquote, the collective statement concluded. And here's some more artwork from Temple Smith right here. Next day, June 24th, which was last Thursday, so 6 days ago, so many of us.com announced that their statement had prompted a direct response from Ellis to the website, marking the first time the author had engaged with the collective since its formation. Quote, I was made aware today of the offer of a mediated dialogue, unquote, wrote Ellis, as seen in the contact form submission submitted by the author to and shared by so many of us.com. Quote, I am available at the above noted email address, redacted, to begin a conversation. At your convenience, please let me know how this will work, unquote. Okay, so I guess he is going to try to make amends, but still, if he's making the effort, why again say that we're not going to work with him anymore or work with him until that's done? I mean, it's basically throwing money out in Warren Ellis subject from Warren Ellis. Okay. A short time after reaching out to so many of us.com, Ellis published a new edition of his Orbital Operations newsletter, the first issue published since he ceased its production following the surfacing of the accusations against him, to apologize for his accused wrongdoings. Dude, do not let these people intimidate you, dude. In the lengthy surprise edition of his newsletter, Ellis asserted, um, quote, in the past, I have been careless and unthinking in my personal relationships, and I again apologize without reservation, unquote. Quote, in the last year, I have entered therapy and taken other measures to change my behavior and am continuing to process, I think it's supposed to be the process, to help, continuing to process the help and advice, okay, I've received, he continued. Quote, I have had a lot of long, hard conversations with people who are or have been close to me, and I need to have a lot more. I'm working on change. Unquote. Again, image showing us just just the utter weakness that they have. The utter weakness. Of his lengthy public silence on the accusations, Ellis explained that he had, quote, been silent because I had a lot of work to do and still do, and have repairs still to make, and wish to proceed mindfully without causing further harm, unquote. Quote, if you are a reader who supported me, then thank you. Please don't defend me anymore, unquote. Ellis, it's supposed to be Ellis. They probably typo right there. Added, quote, change doesn't happen overnight. I'm at the start of a long road, and it's not a road with a defined end. And it doesn't happen in a vacuum. If you want to support me, then support efforts towards transformation of communities, industries, and workplaces, unquote. Image Comics finally and officially clarified the situation surrounding Ellis on June 25th, last Friday, posting a statement to the social media accounts informing fans that, quote, this week's Fell announcement was neither planned nor vetted and was in fact premature, unquote. Quote, while finishing Warren Ellis and Ben Templesmith's Fell is something we've been looking forward to for years, Image Comics will not be working with Warren on anything further until he has made amends to the satisfaction of all involved, unquote. Giving in to the SJWs again. Giving in to social terrorism. That's what it is. The publisher added, quote, it is our sincere hope that the conversations that are beginning now will result in positive changes for everyone. Please visit so many of us.com, unquote. So basically, well, I guess that what they're saying is that until he gets this result, they're not, it's not that they're permanently planning on not working with him, but they're just not going to until he's made he's made amend to the satisfaction of so many of us. So basically, everybody, um, if you're an Image Comics fan, then just know that so many of us.com has them by the you know what, that area down in the nether region, if you get what I mean. That's who they respond to. So that's what do you make of the response to Ellis now deconfirmed return to mainstream comics? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments down below. I believe we need to treat social terrorists like like other terrorists. That's what I think. So, Critical Blast is here. Hey, RJ, let's see. Hey, RJ, so let's see what. Warren Hillis didn't pay Dose. Okay. Yeah, basically, it sounds like another. To me, RJ, it sounds like another SJW Me Too, BS thing. It's kind of funny because we're going to probably be dealing with quite a bit of it now. And then Woody saying, "Hey there, Critical Blast. Sorry, I was slow on the trigger to put through the comment." So, right, it's just that, you know, and RJ, I know you just got here, so I'm gonna repeat this. I mentioned this earlier. I've only got four. I've only picked out 4 stories tonight. If I have time after I'm done with those 4 stories, I'm actually gonna talk a little bit about Hollywood's reactions to the Bill Cosby and Allison Mack situations. I don't know if you had heard, but Bill Cosby was released from prison today due to some prosecutorial misconduct, and Allison Mack was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but for the sex trafficking. And Hollywood seems to have 2 just very almost polar opposite reactions. I'm going to talk about that, talk a little bit more about the Me Too movement and all that. So, but that'll be after I get through the other articles, of course. And again, I do thank you for likes and shares. Always appreciate that. Yeah. So, anyways, we'll get on to the next story here. Then the last of the comic stories. As I said, we have 4 stories due tonight. So, and then with some time, I'm gonna talk about Me Too. So, okay. So here's the next story we're gonna look at. Actually, before I do that, in fact, I'm gonna. Does look like it's getting a little dim in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my lights, make some adjustments here, and then I'll be right back, everybody. All right, I'm back now. So let's see. And I hope you guys are still here. The thing still tells me I'm only got 1 viewer, 1 person watching. But, anyways. Some more here. Some are more here than others, yeah. And YouTube seems to be screwing around because I just tried to refresh the screen there and still says only 1 over there. So. Anyways, uh, all right, so here we go. Get a first look at Dune, Blood of the Sawdalker. Sawdalker. Written by John F. Trent, published earlier today. Boom Studios revealed a first look at their upcoming comic book series, Dune, Blood of the Sawdalker, number one. There's the that's the cover right there. Main cover by Jeff DeCal. The series is written by Brian Herbert, the son of Dune creator Frank Herbert, and Kevin J. Anderson. We've, of course, covered some of this stuff previously. The book features artwork by Adam Gorham, colors by Patricio Del Peche, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. That's more of the artwork there. Art by Adam Gorham, colors by Patricia, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Source Dune Book of Sardakar, number one. The official description for the series begins with a question. When the choice is vengeance or honor, which lies at the heart of Sardakar? It continues. Jopati Colonna is one of the Sardaukar, the Emperor's elite military unit. The Sardaukar are unbeatable, unbending in their devotion to the Emperor and feared throughout the galaxy. When Jopati meets Duke Leto of House Atreides, the house he believes responsible for the destruction of his home planet and family, he will be forced to question a lifelong hatred tasked with overthrowing the Atreides stronghold on Dune for his master. Jopati will be forced to choose between duty and forgiveness. The description concludes. The Arakan for Atreides, capital of Arakan. Here's some more of the artwork there, panel pieces. See if you guys are saying anything new. Well, Woody's kind of saying some stuff. Let's see. I was AFK for 3 minutes before I could put through critical blast comment. Which got held up because of the word hose. I really am getting sick of Fascist Susan's policies. Mine's showing 0. Yeah, well now let's see. StreamYard is showing 2, and now YouTube, at least from what I'm seeing now, YouTube is showing 2 now. So okay, anyways, on with the article here. Back in April, Herbert discussed the series, stating, when we wrote this story, a standalone tale set during the events of the original Dune, we were excited for this first opportunity ever to delve into the history and traditions of this mysterious force of warriors, showing it through the eyes of one particular Sardaukar. Of course, Dune of Blood of the Sardaukar, number one. Anderson also added, we very much enjoyed being able to flesh out the background of the Sardaukar, and this character became a prominent force in our new Kaladen trilogy. It's more of the artwork, some panel pieces here. The first issue of the book will feature a main cover by Jeff DeCal. Um, it will feature variant covers by Gorham, Max Fiumara, and Gerald Perel. Here's Gorham's. So Gorham's cover here. Dude looks pretty BA, doesn't he? Next is Max Fiumara's. A little bit of a darker tone there. More serious. And finally, here's Gerald Perel's variant cover. Very, very interesting looks there. The book will hit comic book shelves July 28th, 2021. So next month, basically. Excuse me a moment. Let's see, my dog is having an issue. Be right back. All right, let's see. Okay, so anyways, let's get back to, let's move on to the next article, actually, because we're done with this article. So we'll go on to this one. So the anime article, actually, before I even do that, let me check to see where we're at time-wise. 48 minutes in, still just the two of us. Well, I guess three of us now. I guess there's three of us now. Woody, hopefully Critical Blast is still here. RJ's still here. Maybe somebody new decided to drop in. And again, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. That does help with the algorithm. So without any further ado, let's go on to the next article here in the anime realm. So here's what this one has to say. Sailor Moon wishes good luck to Olympic athletes, sparking backlash among fans afraid games will turn into COVID-19 super spreader. Oh my goodness. You're getting so worked up over a virus. Written by Spencer Bakuli, published earlier today. So let's get into this. A promotional tweet made by the Japanese Olympic Committee featuring Sailor Moon wishing good luck to competitors of the upcoming athletic games has been met with a wave of backlash from fans outraged that the iconic shoujo heroine would be used to promote what they believe will be a COVID-19 super spreader event. Oh boy. You're worrying way, way too much, people. So, and then here's, I guess, a scene from a movie. Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Eternal, the movie, official dub trailer 2021 Netflix. And I believe that will probably be being dubbed by Studiopolis for Viz Media, I guess. Meaning you'll probably get to hear like Stephanie Shea and Amanda Celine Miller, Karami Lee, Christina V. The outrage against the JOC's use of Sailor Moon began on June 26th, the last Saturday, when Usagi Tsukino, well, I believe her full name is Tsukino's alter ego, one of a number of officially designated character ambassadors for the Olympic Games, whose duties involve using their name recognition to promote the upcoming event to a wider swath of audiences, namely anime fans trying to get anime fans to go to the Olympics and support their country's athletes, which is not a not a problem, shouldn't be a problem, appeared in an encouraging tweet published by the aforementioned organization. Quote, may the medals as beautiful as the full moon shine in everyone's hearts, cheered Sailor Moon, according to a machine translation of the offending tweet provided by Google Translate. However, while the JOC's tweet was undoubtedly meant to elicit excitement for the upcoming games, it instead sparked an outpouring of anger and vitriol from a number of Sailor Moon fans, many of whom feared that such a widely attended event would serve as nothing more than a breeding ground for an outbreak of the recent headline-making Delta variant of COVID-19. Okay, as I've always said, as human beings, we are eventually going to die someday. You can't live your life worrying about how you're going to die, okay? Getting bent out of shape because there's a new variant of the virus, it's stupid, okay? If anything, you're probably more likely to die just walking out your door into the street and having a car hit you than being taken out by this virus. But people apparently don't get that. Anyways. Quote, I'm scared of, in brackets, the Delta strain, wrote Cal P's lore. Quote, I don't want to say this, but I want you to cancel the... Yeah, that solves everything, everybody. That freaking solves everything. Just cancel everything. Everybody just shut her in their own homes because, oh my God, there's a virus. That is the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard. Okay? Who's to say the virus isn't going to get into your home? You know, you sit there and you want to cancel everything. You want to just... Who's to say the virus still can't get you even if you do isolate yourself? If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. You're going to, and, maybe you die from it. Maybe you don't. That's called life. You can't shut down the world for a virus. People who think that's a good idea are idiots. And granted, I know I'm just screaming into the wind here and screaming at myself and Woody, but and I hope Woody didn't leave me at least. It's only showing one person. Was showing 0 a second ago, but now we're back up to 2. Okay, it's good to know. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but of course we have a lot of stupid people in the world. But you cannot shut down the world for a virus. You cannot shut down the world for a virus. At Popeye and Biscu wrote, quote, when I think that she's being used like this, I think it was really good that the character I really loved was not selected, in brackets, as a character ambassador. Um, quote, why are there casualties for your athletic meet? Quote unquote. Why are there casualties for your athletic meet? Quite a bunch of question mark. Exclaimed Kumamak. Quote, you should refrain from doing it. Children's athletic meet, playground, class visits, and university classes are all refraining from doing so. Question mark, question. Because you don't shut down the world for a virus. You don't shut down the world for a virus. That's why you continue it. Now we're back up to 3 people. That's cool. Quote, isn't it too crazy? Unquote, asked Kyoku Mirai. Quote, it's painful if you think that you can sell it to anime lovers and get support. Unquote. Well, my guess is that there may still be some anime lovers in Japan who aren't stupid enough to allow a virus to to just make them just cancel their lives. Um, Hirozek noted, quote, in brackets, COVID-19 mutations have begun to spread in Israel where vaccination is most advanced, unquote, and warned, um, quote, forcibly holding mutant hashtag mutant Olympic Games in Tokyo, brackets, could lead to Japan producing the world's strongest mutant strains, unquote. Quote, how do you see the world, unquote, they question in conclusion. Maybe you shouldn't stop the world for a virus. In addition to Sailor Moon, several other popular anime characters have been elected to serve as character ambassadors for the 2020 Olympic Games. These iconic characters include Astro Boy from Astro Boy, Crayon Shinchan, Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, Naruto Uzumaki from Naruto, Son Goku from Dragon Ball, Jibayon from Yokai Watch, and Cure Miracle and Cure Magical of Pretty Cure, um, parentheses, though recent reports have indicated that the pair have since been replaced in the program by Cure Yell. Official Tokyo Olympic 2020 Japanese web store. What do you make of the outrage against the Olympics? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments down below. I think it's much ado about nothing. I think people are just, that's what I think. So now we're up to 4 people, so that's, at least we're getting more people. And as always, guys, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. I'm glad you're all here as we're going through this. For some of you who might have just come in, I've only got 4. This is the third of 4 stories. I've only picked out 4 stories tonight because if we do have time after I get done with the next story, I'm going to actually talk a little bit about like the Me Too movement, Hollywood's reactions to the Bill Cosby situation, and the Allison Mack situation. So stay tuned with that. We're just past an hour mark. So I think I will be able to get to that. But anyways, moving forward here, and I'm actually surprised that not much more has been said. I know that I guess people are just feeling like lurking tonight, so hopefully everybody though is having a good time with this. Have a lot more serious stuff we're talking about tonight. So got one last article to go through. This is from the television section, but also does have some links to, of course. We're up to 5 people. Yay, 5 people. Back down to 4. Okay, so let's get to this article then. Smallville animated series created by stars Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum in development. Of course, Tom Welling played Clark Kent and Michael Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor in Smallville. Michael Rosenbaum also played Wally West, both the Flash and Kid Flash version in Justice League cartoons and Justice League Unlimited, and Kid Flash in Teen Titans. Okay, article by J.B. Augustine, published earlier today. 10 years after its cancellation, the CW WB-era Superman adaptation, Smallville, starring Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, is finally getting a continuation. Star Tom Welling confirmed the news in a cameo message to an excited fan. And, quote, Tom Welling is back as Superman for a Smallville animated series. Somebody save me, wrote podcaster the Blu-ray Angel in a tweet sharing the. Now that last line, somebody save me, like that. That's from the show's opening theme song, which I think was called "Save Me," believe it or not. Quote, Michael Rosenbaum and I are actually working on an animated series to bring those characters back to life and use as many of the original cast members as possible. Unquote. I wonder what Welling and Rosenbaum have to say about Allison Mack's situation. That would be kind of interesting. Welling says in the cameo, quote, don't tell anybody, though. It's a secret. We're still working on it, unquote. Well, yeah. Yeah, like that's going to happen, dude. They have been working on it since at least 2018. At that year's AwesomeCon, Welling and Rosenbaum were on a panel and asked about the potential of some kind of Smallville follow-up for the DC universe. Towards Smallville WB. Leto's here. Well, we got a couple people who just came in. That's cool. Let's see what they have to say here. Hello. Hello, Kevin the Fox. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good night tonight. And I hope you enjoy the content. And let's see. Before I make another quick, let's see. I'm here just listening while driving to work. Yeah, hey Leto, I did watch your video earlier about Allison Mack, and I actually will be talking about that in conjunction with the Bill Cosby situation, probably after this story. So talking about Me Too and all that. So, anyways, I'm glad you guys are here. Welcome to the stream, everybody. If you can, try to help, try to make Kevin the Fox here feel welcome if you can. Let him know that we're glad to see him. Let's see. Yes, I'm having a good night. Thanks for asking. Well, hopefully we'll see you back here soon, Kevin. Anyways, back to the article here. Welling responded, quote, I mean, in brackets, an animated brackets movie or series could be fun, unquote. Before Rosenbaum informed everyone, he'd already approached Smallville co-creator Alfred Goh with that idea. Quote, I swear to God, I brought that up to Al, brackets Goh, the creator of Smallville, unquote. Rosenbaum added, quote, we should do an animated Smallville, unquote. Smallville ended its 10-season run in 2011 with Clark finally becoming Superman to turn back the coming of Apocalypse, Darkseid, and the New Gods. Rosenbaum left the show a few seasons prior and turned up in a small guest appearance as Lex in the series finale. Luthor was presumed dead before then until a new body was cloned for him. Tom Welling's last appearance as Smallville's Clark Kent was in CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. Despite the revelation he gave up his powers, there was chatter he would reprise his character again, but with abilities and wearing the cape in The Flash. Nothing related to that cameo has so far come to be, and there's no telling yet if the Smallville cartoon will follow Set Kanan or retcon the Crisis timeline. And here's another scene from the show. That may not be a concern if the Arrowverse heroes stopping the Anti-Monitor wiped the slate completely clean, or if the new series picks up at some point between the finale and the crossover. While not televised, Smallville did continue after 2011 in print with the season 11 comic series by DC Comics and Brian Q. Miller. If the animated reunion commences, it could wind up on HBO Max like Friends, but short one cast member. The likelihood of seeing Allison Mack as Chloe after her involvement with the Nixium cult went public has to be slim. Well, considering she just got sentenced to 3 years in jail, I doubt and even if they try to get some appearances or her voice work in there before she actually has to report to jail in September, yeah, I would say that is pretty slim. Smallville season 11. What do you think of the odds are this Smallville project will take off or unite the whole cast. Well, I believe the whole cast. It's very, very unlikely you're going to get the whole cast. Okay, that's it. I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion. You're not going to see. You're not going to see at least Allison Mack. I mean, they may bring back Chloe, but it would be voiced by somebody else. It wouldn't be Allison Mack voicing her. I mean, since it's an animated series, maybe they could try to have, Kristen Crook, who was Lana, voice both roles. That's always a possibility. But again, the likelihood of that really happening is slim. So anyway, so that's all of that. So let's see, we're at an hour and 11. So yeah, we do have some time then. So let's see, and I did see that there were some more comments here. Let's see. Got your message about the Cosby story, Mike. Yeah. I did leave a comment on there. Hey Kevin, let up. Cosby was acquitted. Well, his conviction was technically his conviction was overturned due to prosecutorial misconduct there. And Nick, prior to coming in tonight, I watched both Leto's video on Allison Mack and Nick's video on Cosby's situation there. Pretty much, toys. All right, driving, make it a good show, Mike. Okay. So yeah, so as I said, we do have some time. So and as always, guys, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. Helps get more people in here. I do appreciate that. I thank you guys for that. So with that, then, so let me get on to another thing that I want to make some comments on. So for those who don't know this, I think maybe, I don't know if Kevin, you know too much about what we're about to talk about here, so I'll just kind of briefly go over it. Obviously I know Leto, Toys, and Woody, and Critical Blast, if he's still here, RJ, if he's still here, probably know about these situations. So first off, earlier today, of course, it was announced that Allison Mack got sentenced to 3 years concurrently for her involvement with the Nixium sex cult, basically, where she had been convicted as part of her, one of the things she was convicted on was sex trafficking. Okay, so while Bill Cosby, his conviction for the sexual assault of that one girl, having been accused of drugging and then raping her, was overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court due more to prosecutorial misconduct there. So basically what happened was she had initially reported it back in 2005. And I'm going to try to make this part real quick because I'm sure most of you know this, but so the girl the lady who Cosby did get convicted for assaulting, she initially made her try to make the complaint back in 2005. What ended up happening is that the DA felt there wasn't enough there to really prosecute him criminally. He also had decided not to prosecute Cosby so that Cosby could not invoke his Fifth Amendment right in a civil trial. Okay, so he did not intend to because basically, as part of course, your constitutional rights here in America, you do have the right against self-incrimination. When you're talking to a government, and of course, Nick explained all this, and so in order to get him to testify in court in the civil case, the DA gave him immunity. Well, his successors decided to ignore that and prosecuted him anyways, and they got a conviction. But because he was given immunity by the previous prosecutor, the judges in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, Superior Court, basically said, no, you can't do that. Okay? You can't go back on that because basically you're using the statements that he made at the civil trial, which came about from the immunity agreement. Basically, the alternative, what could have happened is if let's say the previous DA had decided to prosecute him criminally, then Cosby during the civil trial, if the civil trial happened before the criminal trial, could basically just invoke his Fifth Amendment right and say, something, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to answer that. I don't have to answer that. Not going to potentially incriminate myself. And supposedly he made enough incriminating statements that's what got him convicted. He made a good faith agreement with or the DA before, and also, as Nick pointed out, the DA Castor, who was the DA in Pennsylvania back in 2005 when the girl made her initial accusations, had reservations about bringing charges anyways, because to him it pretty much smelled like she was trying to get money out of him. It was extortion. So that's basically what all happened. Now, of course, when his conviction was overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, you have all of Hollywood, of course, we know Felicia Richard, who played his wife on the Cosby Show, she's steadfastly defended him. And Hollywood, of course, not only went after him, but, you had a number of these, you have Amber Tamblyn, Rosie O'Donnell, Rosanna Arquette, all these Me Too women who are all saying how it's a miscarriage of justice. But what they have to understand is even, the Constitution even gives people who are accused of crimes, the same rights as anybody else, And the thing is that because the modern, the present day DAs were using evidence that was obtained, essentially illegally, unconstitutionally, because had Bill Cosby, had there been a chance that he would have been criminally prosecuted, he would not have foregone his rights not to incriminate himself. He would not have had to, and from what I understand, I think the girl did win the civil case, and they used that, and that was like, fruits of a poisonous tree, basically is what they call that. But Hollywood, let's see, and I don't remember who. Remember at one point, I know somebody's. I don't remember who. I don't know if it was Rosanna Arquette or Amber Tamblyn who basically said, "Well, that's why women don't come forward," because now, it's now here's the problem with that, though. Here's a problem with that. Okay. I mean, even when the girl made her initial claim back in 2005, the DA at that point had even thought, because apparently the incident happened in 2004, so months up to possibly a year after, the incident happened, she's basically trying to make a criminal complaint against him. and evidence came out she was looking into possible civil action as well. Everything was looking like she was possibly doing it um, for money. Basically, now here's the problem with Me Too. Okay? Here's the whole problem with Me Too. Is that if you don't, women are not going, if they don't believe they're going to, if they don't think they're going to be believed, of course they're not going to report it. But you're not helping the situation by not reporting it right away or within maybe a reasonable amount of time, maybe a day or two. Sitting there waiting 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to say something, it really makes it makes you look kind of, one, either stupid or incredibly deceitful. Because what it comes down to is this. Okay, so if you didn't report it when it happened, then people are generally going to believe if you didn't have a problem with it when it happened, then you were apparently okay with it. You did not feel assaulted at the time it happened. Okay, that's going to be the natural assumption if you take your time in reporting it. And Batgoat's here. Hey, Batgoat, what up? All just got in from trivia. Good night. We took first on game one, D, where SMRT. Now I'm putting ice in all the coolers to save our condiments and junk. Listening though, okay. I already went through I just had 4 stories. I already went through them. You can always go back, check them out if you want. I'm right now. If you've been listening the last couple minutes, I'm talking about Me Too. I'm talking about like the Cosby situation and the Allison Mack situation and Hollywood's reactions to both. And I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. Thank you guys. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. So, if you're sitting there waiting years after having, people are going to generally assume that at the time you didn't seem to have a problem with what happened. Okay. Why would you now? I know women are going to say, well, I was afraid I wouldn't be believed. And you think waiting 10, 20, 30 years is going to lessen that? If anything, it's going to make it even more. The longer you wait to report something like that, the more you're going to look like a liar when it comes out. You know? If you don't report it within, let's say, the first few days, maybe the first week or two of it happening, the longer you wait, the impression that you're either lying or trying to get something out of it is just going to increase. Okay, that's why you need to report it right away, and that's what makes it hard for actual victims to report it, because there are people out there who will use accusations as weapons. We saw it with Kavanaugh. And of course, we've been seeing it with like Vic and Todd in the voice acting community. Where people just you get convicted by the mob, and therefore it's supposedly supposed to be true, which is bull. We have it even in the Bible. There was a story of Potiphar's wife. Potiphar tried to seduce Joseph. He wasn't having it. And when he resisted her, she accused him of assaulting her. He was eventually released after, being shown that he would have prophetic visions. But, the problem with Me Too is that if you wait, the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be, because the impression you're going to give, people are going to ask, okay, well, if this happened, why didn't you report it back then? And I know people will say, well, they were afraid, or they were afraid of retribution. Well, that's only going to get worse if the longer you take to report it. Especially if it involves somebody who is quote unquote rich and or powerful. Somebody like a Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, or anybody who's perceived as, or even former President Donald Trump, because he had his own share of run-ins with that too, with Stormy Daniels. Okay, if you don't report it right away, or within at least a reasonable amount of time, the longer you wait, the more you're going to be, more that as a woman trying to report it, you're going to either be perceived as either a gold digger or a vindictive witch. And some people might use a word that rhymes with witch, but I'm not going to, but I'm sure a lot of people get what I'm saying. Now, Hollywood, of course, when Bill Cosby was released today, all these Me Too people, like Amber Tamblyn and Rosie O'Donnell, they were in such shock and outrage over it. But as Nick pointed out, it was the right decision. Right. He has no right to a fair trial, according to them. We as the women of America say he did it, so therefore, he's guilty. Wonder how they would feel if that was turned back around on them. They were denied due process, if they were kind of cheated out of justice. But they don't really think about that. They're outraged because he, as a man, got his conviction overturned. Now, in contrast, let's look at Allison Mack. Allison Mack, who was actually convicted of sex trafficking. I mean, there's a number of issues: sex trafficking, conspiracy to sex traffic, forced labor, conspiracy to forced labor. But yet, now aside from Leto, because I saw Leto's video on it earlier, but aside from Leto and a few others who commented in there, you didn't really hear any big peeps about Allison Mack. Didn't hear a lot of people, aside from, like, of course, Leto and some of us who commented in there, you didn't really hear a lot of people saying that, oh, she only got 3 years. I know Leto, that was a big problem he had, is that, and that does seem kind of hypocritical. Where are like Rosanna Arquette and Rosie O'Donnell and Amber Tamblyn, when it's a woman who just got convicted and sentenced to only 3 years and concurrently, mind you. She actually got convicted on 2 separate 3-year prison terms, but she's doing them both at basically the same time. So instead of 6 years, she's only doing 3. She's doing 3 years for 2 crimes. So, an hour 38. But you don't hear Hollywood all up in arms over Allison Mack. Now I know what they're going to probably say. They're going to say, "Well, she's a woman, and she apologized." So, the fact is, what she did was pretty bad too. Maybe not as bad as what Bill Cosby was accused of, but she got convicted for something that was pretty bad too. She basically recruited people to be sex slaves. You would think, in some respects, that would ignite just as much rage as what happened with Bill Cosby, but yet it didn't. Again, where were all these Hollywood actresses who were just so vilifying, Bill Cosby? Where were they? Why weren't they saying anything about Allison Mack being only convicted to 3 years in prison for basically recruiting other women to have sex with an individual that she herself believed, was somebody that was worth defending at one point? Where is all that outrage over Allison Mack situation? Just something to think about with the whole Me Too movement and the argument. It's very hypocritical. Yes, men can violate women, men can violate men, but something, women can violate men and women can violate women. Okay? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay? Again, where's the outrage over Allison Mack? Have all this outrage over Bill Cosby, and he was kind of screwed. Now, the other point that Nick made in that too, aside from the fact that his Fifth Amendment rights were violated because he was basically promised immunity so he could testify in the civil case. Okay, so his rights were violated. Whether or not he actually did it or not, nobody can really be 100% sure if he did it or not, because none of us were really there. Okay, as the case with many of these situations, always a case of he said, she said. The fact is, though, she didn't report it promptly enough. And because she waited long, aside from the points I made earlier about the idea of the overall perception being bad for the person making the accusation, you also, because you waited so long, you have no forensic evidence to support or corroborate your accusation, such as a rape kit. And that was, I think, part of the reason, as Nick pointed out, why the first DA who she reported this to, DA Kastner, back in 2005, decided not to prosecute him, because basically he found it weird that she took so long to report it in the first place. It did look suspicious that she took that long to report it. And when you have it as a case of somebody who is a pretty well-known, high-profile figure like that, the perception that you would wait that long, the only reason, I mean, you get the perception that, one, you were okay with it when it happened, but now that for whatever reason you can think of, whether it's because maybe you had a falling out with them or maybe because you see big bucks, the perception then becomes that, okay, you waited this long because, you're either a gold digger or a vindictive witch. And of course, all these Hollywood actresses are like vilifying Cosby over this, but yet they say nothing about Allison Mack. Just the blatant hypocrisy right there. Gotta go rip a bull. Be right back. Okay, Batgoat. Yeah, but anyways, so that's just the point I wanted to get at with about the whole Me Too movement and all that. Just how hypocritical it is. These people are not really interested in justice. It's more like vengeance or just a power grab. Unfortunately, with like cancel culture as a whole, the problem with cancel culture, it's a power grab. Because there are certain things that you don't want to be called, that nobody wants to be called, or be assumed that you are. Many of those terms, of course, end with the suffixes ist or phobes. Nobody wants to be identified as an ist or a phobe. It's almost like the kiss of death if you're labeled an ist or a phobe. Unless you fight back and say, up yours, that's not what this is. And you call them out on it. Hollywood sucks. Yeah, Hollywood hypocrisy there, Batgo. That's what it is. That's essentially what it is. Again, with the exception of a few, I mean, granted, as with anything, not everybody is in line with that line of thinking. Okay? Like Felicia Richard actually has steadfastly defended Bill Cosby from day one. I haven't heard as much from the other cast members of like the Cosby Show or anything like that. But I know Lisa Bonet did have some issues with him in the past. But aside from that, bottom line is that if you don't report it promptly when it happens, the longer you wait to report it, the less likely people are going to believe you. Because they're going to naturally assume that you were okay with the behavior at the time, and that the only reason you're not okay with it now is for some ulterior motive. Whether that's money or prestige or what have you. So, anyways, glad everybody came tonight. We're at an hour 39, and I've ranted on quite a bit about all Cosby and all that. And of course, Nick will be talking about Allison Mack, Cosby, and a few other things here. Ronnie O'Neill 3, Chauvin evictions, all that. So Nick's got quite a few things planned to talk about tonight as well. I'm going to go catch him. So anyways, guys, think it would be about time to wrap up. I think I've said everything I've wanted to say. I could sit here and rant and repeat what I said about the whole Cosby and Allison Mack situation over and over again, but that would get a little redundant after a while. I think I made my point. So I think it would be a good time to start wrapping up. So are you guys ready for this day in each history? Well, let's see. Well, Bat Goat, that's something to say here. Mike, that rant was spot on. Now Nietzsche's, baby. Okay. Thank you, Bat Goat. That's just what I was thinking. I think it was a good time to wrap things up. Everybody else ready for this day in each history? And I'm going to highlight that because I like that mark there. Mike, that rant was spot on. Now Nietzsche's up, baby. So let's see. See if everybody else ready for this day in each history? All right. So without any further ado, I guess I'm going to go ahead and get started on this day in each history. Today being Wednesday, June the 30th, um, 2021. Let's take a look back at this day in each history. And of course, um, the first oh, okay, look at that goat. As a mouthpiece for old guys, I will speak for Woody, who is napping, and say Nietzsche time. All right. All right. So, anyways, yay, history. Okay. So now we're getting some responses. All right. So, first off, we head back to 1961, 60 years ago today. And on this date, 60 years ago today, the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers, would defeat Pat O'Connor for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in Chicago, Illinois. So on this date in 1961 in Chicago, Illinois, Buddy Rogers would defeat Pat O'Connor for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And now, as we continue to move forward here, let's see. As we head over to 2001, here on this date 20 years ago today. The Canadian American French children's animated series, loosely based on the autobiographical book series from Australian author Andy Griffiths, not to be confused with the American actor Andy Griffiths, premiered on this date back in 2001, 20 years ago today. In the States here, it was produced by Saban Entertainment. And let me see if I can find where it was actually broadcast. Let's see. I don't know if it says here where exactly it was. Okay. Let's see. Doesn't look like it really says where it was broadcast. Anyways, okay, here we go. So it was broadcast on Fox Family, ABC Family, Season 1, Fox Kids International, Seasons 1 and 2. So basically, Fox Kids and Fox Family, ABC Family broadcast this cartoon show called What's with Andy? That was the English name. So on this date in 2001, 20 years ago today, the Canadian, American, French children's animated series What's with Andy premiered on Fox on this date in 2001. So as we shall continue on now with to the next okay, so on this date in 2010, which was 11 years ago today, the 890th issue of Action Comics went on sale on newsstands on this day for $3.99 for with a 40-page count. The featured character in this particular issue was actually Lex Luthor as part of the Blackest Night crossover event. Blackest Night was an event in which we were introduced to the Black Lantern Corps, which basically was a lantern corps, much like the Green Lantern, but this one was made up entirely of people who had basically died. In other words, it was an entire corps made up of corpses that were reanimated by the power of the Black Rings. As the Black Ring, Part 1 here. So on this date, 11 years ago today, 2010, the 890th issue of Action Comics featuring Lex Luthor would go on sale on newsstands on this date, 11 years ago, rather. And finally, on this date in 2016, 5 years ago today, the anime series Onigiri and Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress would both conclude their runs on this date in 2016. So on this date in 2016, the animes Onigiri produced by Puro Plus and Wit Studios' Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress would complete their initial Japanese broadcast runs. So that's all that I've got for you tonight, guys. I thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the content tonight. I know I kind of ranted on about the whole Cosby and Bill Cosby and Allison Mack situation. I just felt it was needed. Felt there were some points that needed to be made. And also, don't forget, of course, this Friday, Batgoat will be joining me as we look back on comics history, as we go back and we start looking at December 1937. And also, don't forget, this coming Monday, July the 5th, we will be doing the open mic night. So our next open mic night will be this Monday. So I hope you guys are excited about that and prepared. We'll figure out what to talk about then. I've got some ideas in the back of my head. Sure, maybe you guys have some ideas you may want to bring up. Anyways, guys, I thank you again for being here. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Matt Goat said one last thing. I personally love the rant. I agree with you politically, so that helps. I'll see you tomorrow night. All right, guys, and I thank you guys all again. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.